want to thank the fans, and especially all the students that didn't go home when they could have. And the energy in there was fantastic. And just from start to finish, it really was. Could hear it in the back during warm-ups, and never take that for granted. And to see that kind of turnout tonight, especially with the weekend coming up the way it is, and next week coming up, to have them stay was big. And our team fed off that. Our team was really ready to play. We knew, and they learned quickly, that we were playing a very, very tough, physical opponent. And obviously the respect for the Big East is high. They weren't as familiar maybe with Creighton's personnel as they became, during a quick time of film and being on the court. But they quickly saw that it was a physical team, very aggressive team. We kept preaching how well coached they are, how disciplined they are with what they want, and that really, frankly, they were better at some things that we want to be really good at, like their spacing and staying committed to it, their guard rebounding. And I thought our guys really responded. 19 rebounds was a real key thing for us from our guards, and because there's going to be long rebounds. The way we defended the three was positive. The way we got back in the break, we gave them some baskets and turnovers and in the post. But those were the key things that we needed to defend the corners, especially in the break. We needed to not come off shooters. We had tremendous respect for Zierden, and he made the 1-3 from deep because we just didn't get a hand up. And I'm sure Greg will look at it, and just like I would, and you can see some shots that your team would probably make. But I was really proud of the way that we gave really good effort, and then the pace of the game kept going, and we played through the post a lot more tonight. And like I said, the activity on the glass was huge for us. And we had guys play through things. I thought Robert Johnson, even though he had foul trouble all night, I thought every time he was in the game, with the exception of the fouls, he tried to make the right play. And that's a sign of maturity, because no one planned for him to have foul trouble. No one planned for him not to have a big night. But sometimes it happens. It'll happen to somebody next week. But the way you respond and make it better for your teammates has a lot to do with the success you're going to have moving down the line. So those are some of the things that were highlights to me. And again, great win for us, because fully expect to see that team continue to get better and better as they integrate their transfers and freshmen into that lineup, and would fully expect that'll be a ranked basketball team as the season goes on.
Bob, Tom, when you were recruiting Thomas Bryant, how quickly did it become apparent to you that this guy plays with a level of passion that you don't often
On
see?
film, literally on film, because we always knew about Thomas Bryant, but we didn't see a real inroad, based on conventional wisdom, with him maybe potentially leaving the East Coast. But once we knew that there was an opportunity that he might, and then you really started to dive into it, that was the biggest thing. You could see the dunks, you could see the running, but you knew that he had infectious energy, and then the more you watch him, you see that it really is infectious to his teammates. And in the case of tonight, infectious to the crowd, because it's for real. He doesn't run around stomping his feet every day in practice, but he does play hard. He's got to be careful because he's wearing a boot most of the time that he's not on the court, so we don't want him stomping too hard. But he's playing with more confidence all the time. Still a lot to learn, and still a lot of reps to get in practice that he didn't get when he was out for the first couple weeks, with the foot injury. But he's been well coached. He's poised. And what I'm proudest of is that he's playing with emotion, and it's not emotional. He's got great emotion. If it was emotional, he wouldn't be able to make those plays that he's making, and he wouldn't be able to make those finishes that he's making. So it was apparent early.
Zach, just to kind of follow up on that, you talked about not wanting him to hurt himself, I guess, but
Yeah.
beyond that, do you restrain a guy like that much when it comes to the energy and the emotion?
Well, it would have been a technical if I'd have ran out there and done that. Right? We didn't need that. No, he's fine. He's fine. He's enjoying himself. Hey, you're playing that hard, and the good news is he can get better. He can play lower. His lower body's going to continue to get stronger, and he's comfortable with his shooting. Maybe a little too comfortable at times, but especially when we're in a high-low game and we're trying to go inside. But we're on a good path with him, and eventually he'll be driving the ball. Eventually you'll see him in some ball screens where he's the handler. He's learning more and more about his footwork in the post, And but he's got really good timing, you know, and he can really pass. That's one of the areas that we're really going to get better at, is playing through the post. That's one thing that like separated Cody. I mean, he could pass so well, and then he became a driver where he could pass off the drive, and that'll come for Thomas. But Thomas can find people because he can see, and he's got that poise. So he'll get better and better with that.
Just one follow-up if you don't mind. But you've said this before, that he can play with emotion without playing emotional. I guess, how does he divorce those two in his mind?
I think it's the execution. Yeah, I think it would show up in the lack of, if there was a lack of execution, or if he was getting down on himself, you know, or something like that. I mean, he's tuned in. So he's tuned in. It's a lot easier in life, as everybody knows, to turn somebody down than it is to turn them up. And if it gets to that, we'll worry about that later. But he's got energy. You know, I use the term emotion because he's having a lot of fun when he plays. But he's got a lot of energy, and he has it every day. And that's really important. He really, really wants to get better. And when you've got that kind of skill set to go with that body, and knowing that he's going to get a lot stronger as he goes through it, and that kind of awareness. And again, we'll see what he looks like in a few weeks and a month when he gets even more practices and games under his belt. But I think he'll get better and better.
Mike, you mentioned the high-low game and getting that going.
Mm-hmm.
What's the learning curve at this point in the year for that? Do you sense, I guess, guys on the perimeter really embracing that?
Oh, I think so. But it's, you know, they got to get used to. James and Rob didn't really play with a post-up last year. You know, Yogi has with Cody and with Noah, and some have. But the other night we went to Yogi in the post quite a bit, especially in the 12, 13 foot range in the post-up, and we tried a little bit tonight. So for us, we've got to get fouled, and I think they all understand. You know, for us to get better, we've got to get fouled. And whether it's through the post, whether it's through the drive, whether it's the offensive board, whatever it is. So, yes, I think our vision will get better. I think as we keep telling our post-up action, we can do a better job of demanding the ball. We can do a better job of sealing. We've got to continue to, our footwork is not bad, but we got to do a better job with setting up our footwork, you know, with like 1-2 steps and V-cuts and things of that nature that takes a little time to get integrated, but we will. And I think we'll become better and better with it. And understanding when you've got the guy buried in the post, and then also a big part of our game is, and it takes time for guys to learn this, is when you catch that ball 8, 10, 12 feet off to go into a face-up move. And once Cody developed that here, I mean, look out. I mean, he could do so many things. But that's one of the reasons that we put those guys in the positions to work with the perimeter so much, so they really learn how to push the dribble out, drop the shoulders. 'Cause it's really the same thing in the post.
Tom, how encouraged are you headed to Maui with it seemed a better defensive performance tonight against a quality opponent that can shoot the ball well?
A high-quality opponent. Yeah, I think with the way they were shooting the ball, averaging 98 points, I don't care who you're playing, you're scoring 98. And we watched as much film from last year. We really game planned hard for Milliken and Zierden. Certainly, we know what Watson's capable of when you watch his old film from BU. But even in the short time that he's played for them, I mean, he was 12 assists, I believe, 4 turnovers coming into the game. I mean, you can't. He's quick, strong. I mean, he's going to be, before he's done, he'll be one of the elite point guards in the country, because he's got that low center of gravity. He sees, he finds people, and when he gets that shot. He was a low 30% shooter at BU. When he gets that shot going, he's going to be really hard to deal with. So that was a big deal for us, because they're a very physical team. Greg's teams always are going to play physically and sound, and they can bring a lot of people out there. We were concerned too about Thomas's cutting and rebounding and getting out on the break. So they've got a lot of strengths, and fortunately our guys were able to handle that.
Tom, your team's ability to force turnovers, I think you're averaging now maybe 17 something, and the steals. Are you happy with where that's at, or what's the key to continue with this?
Well, I think the key is, it's like offense. And we said this before the game again. We want to hit singles on offense, right? I mean, we want to make simple passes, and we tell the guys, the simpler you make the game, the more exciting it looks, because when the ball is moving quickly and it's flowing, it's not about trying to throw home run plays. Well, sometimes the same thing happens on defense. You'll try to make a steal that's not there. You'll gamble because you think you can get it. And all of a sudden, you're putting a lot of pressure on your team. I mean, we want to be a very, very good point of attack team so that we've got to defend the corners and the rim better, but so much of that starts up higher right now because we are young down low. And we've got to get, it's got to be, out front and not everything feathering out. And so, to me, when we keep it really tight, when we keep it in a box type of element with the ball, when we're keeping the ball on one side, when we're pressuring the ball without gambling on the ball, and we had 3 fouls in the first half when we went for steals, right? Where we got called for the foul when we came down on the ball. So some of that's adjustment to the game. But the other night we had 7 turnovers that we created or that we got, and we gave it right back to them. So in answer to that, we've got to be able to capitalize on the turnovers and make something happen for it, and at the same time take care of the ball on our end better.
Back in media day, you were talking about how, with all the little injuries going on, this team needs to gain more depth. How do you feel about that depth right now?
Well, I think it's a learning situation, especially for a guy like OG and Jawan tonight. I mean, that game was moving, right? I mean, and all of a sudden you come in there off the bench, and they're flying. I mean, they never slowed down either. So it's that kind of game experience that helps you, where you've got to have just an incredible level of awareness. And I thought our guys really, we tried to manage the minutes, but at the same time, we wanted to manage the score, right? So to me, guys being able to play through fatigue, a couple of times Thomas wanted out. We had him play through it a couple more possessions because you got to learn he's got a little more in the tank than maybe sometimes he realizes. But depth is going to be huge. But depth is only what your consistency level is. All right? If it's not consistent, then you just have bodies. When you have consistency, now you have depth, and we've got a long way to go to get to that.
Kind of piggybacking off of that, how big do you think depth is going to play 3 games in 3 days in Maui?
Oh, paramount. No question about it, because there'll be all kinds of, unknown things. I mean, you just got to control what you can control. Be ready to go in. Get into the flow of the game, talk on defense, run the court on offense, clean up. What we'll have is some time over the weekend to clean up some of the things we got to get better at while we're preparing, and it'll be huge. And you try to get them to understand going and have a positive impact in the game. That's why we look at plus minus so much, and are you affecting the score in a positive way? And it's not about going in and making great plays or making a bunch of plays. It's about going and just playing right. And so that's a huge part of building that consistency level, especially for a young guy.